49ers training camp is officially underway. Day one of practice in the books. So coming your way on today's show, news and notes from the first official practice from Santa Clara. We'll get to that on Trey Lance, Emmanuel Moseley, as Lance looked really sharp yesterday. But first, a reminder, going to be going live on the 49ers Report on YouTube, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, after our visual YouTube show wraps up, as well as airing live on Rumble. Going to be going live for a podcast on Callin. Make sure you join us. You see the link down below, chatsports.com/49ers Callin. Also, I put the show link in the comment section and the description of this video. Callin is basically like Twitter Spaces, but even better, interactive podcast where you can call into the show. I hope to hear from all of you. We begin with this, and Trey Lance looked really good on day one of practice. Now, keep in mind, no pads. It was a short practice session, but some of the things that he did are things that we want to see more of. Accuracy on those short and intermediate throws, looking sharp with no arm fatigue. How about that? I thought the arm motion looked clean. It looked pretty good. Colin Cowherd says it's clunky. I actually think it's pretty solid. I heard somebody the other day compare it to Tim Tebow's arm motion. That right there is disrespectful. I didn't see a hitch, and nor did Lance's teammates, the coaches, and the media on hand. Looked in control during 11-on-11s. He completed 5 of 7 passes during team drills, picked up a nice gain off a quarterback boot. Can you imagine what this offense can look like with the power game and the running element from the quarterback involved? Not something that was brought to the table by Jimmy Garoppolo, on top of the fact that Lance can actually excel throwing the vertical deep ball as well to stretch the field, not only up and down, but sideline to sideline. Lance, short, intermediate passes was basically the game for him, but he was really accurate. And no, he didn't uncork a bunch of deep balls. He didn't chuck it deep. Not many explosive plays. That's okay, though. This is why. We know that Trey Lance is extremely gifted. He's 6'4", 225 with a rocket arm. He has mobility as a runner and inside the pocket. He can complete any throw on the football field, stretching it vertically as well as completing balls from sideline to sideline. But this is a good thing that Lance is being tasked with completing easy throws because he needs to get the simple stuff down. We're talking about a quarterback who just flat out doesn't have a lot of experience, both at North Dakota State at the FCS level, and he's only made 2 starts in the NFL. We know that he can do some physically gifted, insane, crazy things on the football field, but the best quarterbacks in the NFL are the ones who are steady, are the ones who are accurate, are the ones who do the simple stuff well, and then Lance can grow on top of that and make himself a really viable threat against opposing defenses. There's also this on the defensive side of the ball. Talked about those 2 Lance incompletions. Who was he targeting? Emmanuel Moseley, who was a pest yesterday on day one of training camp practice. He caused both of Lance's incompletions with really good instincts and anticipation breaking on the ball, and he admitted later one of the throws, which was actually a pretty accurate ball to Austin Mack, he should have intercepted, but Lance's velocity caused him to drop it. This is continued progress for Emmanuel Moseley. Back in 2021 last year, he emerged from the middle part of the season on into the playoffs as the Niners' #1 starting cornerback. No touchdowns allowed in coverage last year, 11 pass breakups on 74 targets, 495 coverage snaps in total a year ago, and only allowed 33 receiving yards per game. You add Emmanuel Moseley on the opposite side of the field of Charvarius Ward, and this 49er secondary going into next year is leaps and bounds better than it was a year ago because now you have better depth pieces, not having to rely on Josh Norman or the corpse of Drake Kirkpatrick. You have Ambry Thomas, you have Samuel Womack, you drafted Tariq Castro Fields, you have some other players who can really fill in on that side of the football. Dante Johnson, Diamador Lenore, you're building depth, but most importantly, you have your legitimate #1 cornerback in Charvarius Ward. You have a great cornerback too, and Emmanuel Moseley, who showed last year that he can excel as the top cornerback on a defense. And those two holding it down on the outside in this pass-happy era of the NFL, when these quarterbacks are lethal and these wide receivers are just physically insane, you combine that with the Niners defensive line, and that's why I continue to say that this 49ers defense can be a top 5 unit in 2022. Does talking about actual ball get you excited? Like, this is the first time in a long time that we can actually talk real football. I'm pumped up. I'm juiced up. I got the adrenaline flowing, doing a live YouTube show today, bringing you the best content. If you're excited about all this, man, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Hear what players are saying about Trey Lance. And let's be real, right? If Lance was struggling, a lot of people wouldn't be chirping. There'd be crickets out there because they wouldn't want to admit to the media that Lance is doing things that he's not to the eye when the media is on hand for these practices, right? So first, start off with Emmanuel Moseley, who played really well on the defensive side against Trey Lance yesterday. Trey throws a great deep ball. The ball comes out hard. I was actually mad at myself when I broke it up because in my head, I'm like, man, that should be a pick. I got to be better than that. Azeez Al-Shire saying this about Trey Lance. I think in general, it's night and day from year one to year two. The decisions he is making when you're talking about throwing the ball, he's always had an arm, but it's literally different, and you can see it. When he first came in, you're like, damn, this dude is throwing the ball so hard. He's not throwing picks because we can't catch him. Now it's the way he operates. It's just so much on point, and that's what you'd expect from someone who takes their craft so serious. And let's be honest here. If Lance was stinking up the joint, it'd be crickets out there. Players wouldn't be heaping praise upon Trey Lance. This is a competition. This is the NFL. Everybody's trying to fetch their paycheck. They're not going to be fronting and lying about Lance playing well when the media is on hand and they have an opportunity to see Lance with their own eyes, and they even said themselves, Lance looking really good. If you think that Lance can be legit, I want you to type 5 in the comment section right now. Him rocking the scarlet red, the white unis, I think are underrated across the NFL. And then in that practice jersey, also dope, Trey Lance rocking the number 5, Trey area, San Francisco. Another reminder, going live on Call-In tonight. In case you missed it earlier, I don't know how you did because I mentioned it off the top of the show, but I'm just filling you in. Going live on YouTube, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific tonight after our YouTube show wraps up. Join me on Call-In for a podcast. Interact with me. Get your questions in. You can spit your 49ers hot takes, and we'll react to 49ers training camp together. The show link is the pinned comment on today's video. Okay, just a couple of takeaways as we round out here. Offensive line. Musical chairs potentially per Kyle Shanahan. This is the first team offensive line unit on day one. Keep in mind Trent Williams not out there. Colton McKivitz, he's going to be the backup left tackle. Aaron Banks getting those reps at left guard as we've covered here on the channel over the last couple of months. Jake Brendel, your starting center, because who else would be the starting center? The big surprise here, Spencer Burford, the draft pick out of UTSA in the 4th round. He's impressed a lot of people throughout OTA's minicamp and now training camp. First team offensive lineman at right guard because Daniel Brunskill was playing backup center. Then Jalen Moore in for Mike McGlinchey at right tackle as McGlinchey continues to come off that torn quad. Under the radar guy, how about Jason Poe? We talked about him on our call-in segment last week as he was on my list of the top 5 rookies to look out for and watch during training camp because he's 6 foot, 300 pounds, runs a sub 540, and teams in the pre-draft process wanted to work him out as a fullback because he's so athletically gifted. Now, he went to Mercer. That's why he went undrafted. During his college ranks, played center as well as offensive guard. He was playing right guard on the second-team offensive line unit. He might be a UDFA who can crack this roster. If you made it this far, San Francisco, I want you to type real one in the comment section. It's a movement. It's on and popping. Our coverage, it's consistent. It's real. It's the best. Can't wait to continue to talk Niners football with the best fan base in the world.